Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Abyss for Shiz here, and I thought I would do something kind of new today. I know I've done a tier list on Batman and Spider-Man movies, and I'm thinking about updating that tier list because I have some changed opinions on certain movies. Not necessarily bad opinions about them, but just I, my opinions kind of changed since I made that tier list, but I'm here with a new tier list today. And this is I like to call this the various horror films tier list. Like, basically, this isn't all the horror films I've seen. I've seen more horror films than this, but this is all of like the horror movies that I'm familiar with. Like, all the horror franchises that like, I wouldn't say grown up with, but all the horror franchises that I'm like most acquainted with, I guess I could say. So there's 6 franchises here. Bro, what page unresponsive? Get out of here. There are 6 franchises here. The Elm Street franchise, Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, It, Child's Play, and Scream. Oh wait, I think I said Halloween. But yeah, either way, those are all the franchises here. Anyways, let's get started. So, first movie I see right here. Also, I'm not going to do this from like oldest to most recent because that would take me forever and I don't want to do that much research to find out which of these 50 movies is the oldest and which one of these is the newest. I mean, I would probably know which one of these is the newest because, I think the newest one on here is like the Child's Play remake. Yeah, it's something like that. Anyways, I'm just going to start from whatever movie I see at the top. And maybe I'll just pick a random one out of here while I'm going and just put it in there. So, first one I see is the first Evil Dead movie, and that's an automatic S. The first Evil Dead is amazing. In fact, I'm going to put all the Evil Dead movies except for the remake in there. I don't think the remake is bad, but I think it's just like, okay, yeah, the remake's right there. I think the remake is A. Like, the remake is good, but it's missing, like, that Sam Raimi touch, you know what I mean? It's missing what makes it feel like an Evil Dead movie, essentially. Alright, the next movie I see is Child's Play 2. This one's a classic. Child's Play 2 is S tier. There's no question about it. Let's see, this is Scream 2. However, Scream 2 is not exactly a classic. The first one is, but all the movies after the first Scream are just kind of forgettable. Not really bad, but just forgettable. My opinions on Scream 2 might change because I think that Scream 2 is actually kind of decent, even though I have it in an A. I might put it in an S one day, but as for right now, I think it's just A. So the next movie I see is 2018 Halloween. This movie has some haters. I've seen them. I'm kind of surprised this movie has haters considering that they brought back like the original Laurie Strode and technically the original Michael Myers. I don't know if it's the same actor. I would assume it's probably not, but could be. I don't really remember. But yeah, I think the remake, the Halloween 2018 remake, it's pretty good. I saw it in theaters. I thought it was like amazing at the time. I thought it was like S, but then again, I was a freshman when I saw that, so like maybe my taste wasn't exactly the most valid. But yeah, it's pretty decent. I think it's A. I think Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends will be pretty good movies, and I think that they'll definitely give the Halloween a pretty good middle act and a pretty good final act. Since there's like fucking, I don't know, 8 different timelines, and this one created like the 8th one. And this right here, the original Child's Play movie, no, I'm kidding. It's A. The original Child's Play is A in my opinion. I thought this was S, and then I rewatched it and I was like, that's still really good. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna put it top of A, like almost S. So it's still pretty good, but I don't think it's S. I think it's just A. I think there's some things about it that like kind of hold it back from being S. I can't really think of it at the moment, but like I don't know. In my mind, this just isn't really an S-worthy movie. And we got the original It right here. That's also A. I think that all the It movies are A except for It Chapter 2. I think that's just B because, like, I don't know. That movie was confusing to me. Elm Street 4, easily the most underrated movie in the entire franchise. This movie is like, yeah, it's inferior to Elm Street 3 because, you know, this movie came out, what, like a year or two after Elm Street 3, and Elm Street 3 is amazing, and then this movie was just kind of like, I mean, that was good, but that wasn't, like, my favorite, you know. It leaned more towards the comedy side of things than it did, like, the horror side of things. So, like, this movie's not really scary. Unless you're new to horror, then in that case, you know, jump scares are gonna get you. But aside from that, this movie is more of a comedy than it is a horror movie. Like, it's like, I'd say like 80% comedy and then like 20% horror. Friday the 13th Part 3. Also A in my opinion. This movie gave Jason the hockey mask, but if you're watching it without 3D glasses, and even without 3D glasses, this movie kind of aged poorly because of like the up in your face 3D effects, especially that one scene where like Jason crushes somebody's skull and like the eye pops out and goes up towards the camera to be like, oh, look at these 3D effects that look really shitty if you're not wearing 3D glasses. But yeah, it's still pretty decent though. I admire it for them giving like the Jason his famous hockey mask. Anyways, we got It 2017. That's also A in my opinion. One thing I don't like about the new It movies though is that they take a silly concept too seriously. Like the idea of a killer clown could be sinister. I mean, it is pretty sinister. Like, you know, back in 2016 when there was like, you know, people in clown outfits running around like around Halloween or something. I remember back in 2016 when killer clowns was a big thing, and this movie was like, I wouldn't say capitalizing on it, but I guess like, you know, since killer clowns were kind of somewhat popular around this time, it was a good idea for them to release this movie. But like, yeah, like this movie is just like, it's a silly concept, but it's not like a Nightmare on Elm Street where like Elm Street knows that its concept is kind of silly, therefore it doesn't take itself too seriously. This movie takes a silly concept seriously, like we're supposed to take like a 6-foot clown seriously. But it's still pretty decent. This is Friday the 13th Part 7, and I think it's also A. I like that we get to see Jason's face in this one, and I kind of like some of the action in this movie is also pretty good. I know that like Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie like a 30%, but then again, Rotten Tomatoes has never exactly been nice to the Friday the 13th franchise. I mean, like, I think the highest score any of these movies got was like 60%. Meanwhile, Elm Street out here getting like a 90%, you know? Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes has never been nice to old Jason over here. Evil Dead 2. That is an easy S tier. Evil Dead 2 is a classic. I love Evil Dead 2. Although me personally, I think that, where is it? Army of Darkness is the best Evil Dead movie. I know that I just was like digging on Elm Street 4 for being more of a comedy and not a horror, but like the difference between Army of Darkness and Elm Street 4 is that Army of Darkness is better written. And, well, you know, it's the better movie too, and in my opinion, I just enjoy it more. This is the original Friday the 13th. I'm gonna give this an A. I'm gonna give this an A. Actually, wait. You know what? I'm gonna give this one a B. I like Jason's design in this movie, but overall the movie is just kind of meh. Excuse me. So the original Friday the 13th it's all right. The Friday the 13th is not one of those franchises where you see a lot of people praising the fuck out of the first movie, you know? Like the first Friday the 13th movie is just kind of there for everybody. Like it's kind of like in the middle or somewhat near the top, you know? I give it points for starting the Friday the 13th franchise, but one notable thing about this movie is that Jason is not the killer in this movie. A lot of people think that. He is not. It is Jason's mother. And for like long time Friday the 13th fans are like, we already know this. And yeah, so I give it A, not S. Although it did start the Friday franchise, I'm going to have to just give it an A. This is Halloween 2. Halloween 2. Well, the original Halloween 2, not Rob Zombie Halloween 2. It's decent. It's decent. I'm a little disappointed that Halloween 2018 retconned Halloween 2, because I think they could have easily just had Halloween 2 still be canon. I mean, like, Halloween 2 literally takes place within the same night of the first movie. Like, this movie is, like, literally a continuation of the first movie. It takes place right after the first movie. Kind of like how, even though Incredibles 2 came out, like, 14 years after the first one, it still takes place moments after the first one. But yeah, so I think Halloween 2 should have still been canon to the new timeline, but whatever, that's just me. I still think it's A. I still think it's pretty solid, you know? Pretty good movie. I think they should have just ended the Halloween franchise right there, to be honest. Because Halloween 2 was a pretty good send-off, I guess, because Halloween 3 over here, we got our first D tier. Halloween 3 isn't even a part of the Halloween franchise. Like, they could have easily just called this movie Season of the Witch. Like, aside from Michael Myers appearing in a TV commercial at one point in this movie has nothing to do with the rest of the Halloween franchise. But, like, it's overall eh. Like, D tier doesn't necessarily mean that you're horrible. It just means that you're bad, but you're not, like, bottom of the barrel, I would never touch again bad, you know? Yeah, I should probably explain how the tiers work for me. S tier means I could watch this all day. A tier means I could watch this every week. I don't know about every day. B tier is like, it's still pretty good, but it doesn't quite have the quality of an A or S movie. C tier means that it's good, but it's not like excuse me. C tier means that, like, it's good, but in the grand scheme of things, I can't really say it's the best. D tier is like bad but watchable. E tier is like practically F, but it has a few things that save it from being F. And then F is like, I don't ever want to speak of this again. I'm sorry, that was a little off track, but I kind of just wanted to get that out of the way, explain how the tiers work. Elm Street 3. Elm Street 3. I love this movie. Elm Street 3 is a classic. Aside from movie that I'm going to reveal later on to be my favorite Elm Street movie, this is the best one. Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Friday the 13th Part 2. This one had Bagface Jason. I'm gonna give it a B. It was alright. It was pretty good. It kind of gave us a little bit more of an idea of, like, what kind of character Jason is. And this was technically his first appearance. Well, not first appearance as in like he wasn't in the first movie, because he was in the first movie, but he wasn't the killer. So this was his first like killer appearance, I guess I could say. Alright, so right here we got Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake. It's B. It's alright. It's not amazing. It's good. I think that, I mean, this movie came out in 2009. This movie's about to turn 12. We haven't had a Friday the 13th movie in 12 years. I mean, we did have those two Friday the 13th fan films. I think they're called like Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow. Yeah, I think it's called that. Those two fan film movies, but like those are like questionably canon though. My personal headcanon is that they are canon, but whether or not they are, like whether or not they actually are, is a different subject. But this movie is just B. It's like kind of in the middle, you know, in terms of like the best movies ever. It's like in the middle, you know. I know that C is technically the middle, but like if we're talking best movies ever, it's just right in the middle. It's just okay. I think it has some good effects in there. I think the effects are pretty decent. It's funny how Michael Bay managed to make a good Friday the 13th remake, but then absolutely butchered Elm Street. I'll get to that one later because I'd have some things to say about that movie. Oh, I want to start talking about that movie. I mean, I could. It's my movie. I mean, not my movie, my video, but like, I'm gonna wait. The first Halloween is, do I think it's above Evil Dead, or... Yeah, I'm gonna put it above Evil Dead. The first Halloween is a classic, you know. You can't give it anything other than S. Like, it's so well written. The kills are amazing. It's pretty intense. Like, I watched this movie like a month ago. Actually, like 2 months ago, something like that. I watched this movie, so it was like kind of fresh in my mind. Like randomly one day, I was just like, you know what? I want to watch Halloween again because it's been a while since I've seen it. This movie is still pretty intense. Like, this movie is still actually kind of scary. Like, you know, I was like sitting in my seat, like, oh shit, what's gonna happen next? Yeah, it's very good. It's S. It's automatic. Friday the 13th Part 4 is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. And I know that's gonna sound kind of... Actually, I don't know. Is this movie shunned upon by other Friday the 13th fans? I don't know. I haven't seen this movie get that much hate. Well, I've seen it get hate from people that aren't horror fans, but like, I don't see this movie get a lot of hate from Friday the 13th fans. You know, like movies like Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, you know, they get bashed on all the time, but like, I don't see this movie get talked about that much. I think it's because it's Friday the 13th 4, and it says the final chapter in it. And Friday the 13th has 12 movies. And this is the 4th movie, and it says the final chapter in the name. And then the 5th movie, someone else takes over as Jason, and that it's not even actually Jason. But yeah, like, although like that title's kind of false advertising, I still think that it's pretty good. Aside from a movie that I'm going to talk about later, this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie. It's pretty decent. First Scream, S. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the first Scream is an automatic S. The first Scream is very good. First Scream is very good. It's a classic. You know, one of the best horror movies ever made. A lot of people praise it. And it deserves all the praise. Anyways, oh, sorry if I looked like nervous or something. My dad just came home. This is Rob Zombie Halloween. A lot of people hate this movie. A lot of people really hate the Rob Zombie Halloween. Although I can't say that I'm particularly the most fond of it, I'm gonna have to give it a B. Because I like how brutal it is. Same with, where's Rob Zombie Halloween 2? Where's that at? There it is. I'm gonna give them both a B. They're both just decent. Although there's some weird imagery in Halloween 2, well, Rob Zombie Halloween 2. I'm gonna just say they're both B. They're both just B. They're alright. It Chapter 2. Also B tier. It Chapter 2 is B. I think that there's a lot of stuff in this movie that just doesn't really make that much sense. And which is why I kind of think the original It book is kind of overrated, because a lot of people act like it's Stephen King's best book ever. It's like, no, just because it's his most famous doesn't mean it's his best book ever. Anyways, I'm gonna pause this real quick. Anyways, I'm back. So I think this is Friday the 13th 6. This is another B. This is another B in my opinion. It's alright. It's not great, but it's alright, you know. Alright, now we've got another Chucky film. This is Curse of Chucky. Curse of Chucky, I'm going to put a little high in the B range. I'm going to get to this one later. We got Bride of Chucky right here. Bride of Chucky, I'm going to put that in the A. Bride of Chucky is pretty good. I like Bride of Chucky. A shame that its sequel didn't quite live up to it, but yeah, Bride of Chucky is decent. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I'm gonna give that a S. Actually, I'm gonna put Scream above Friday the 13th 4. But yeah, Wes Craven's New Nightmare is S. It's very good. Although I do think that it's a little low on the kill count side of things, but overall it's pretty decent. It revived not decent, it's really good, but like, it revived the Elm Street franchise when it was kind of in a tough spot. What the fuck? Sorry. When it was kind of in a tough spot. So yeah, it's S in my opinion. Child's Play remake is B. My opinion is B. Child's Play remake is... I'd say Child's Play remake is honestly a little underrated. I mean, sure, it's new, but like, it doesn't really get that much attention, surprisingly. I think it's just okay. Like, I don't think it's A or S. Like, just because you're underrated, that doesn't mean that you're A or S. But like, yeah, it's just alright. Sorry if you hear like drilling in the back. It's just my dad. Child's Play 3. This is a mixed movie. I see people put it in like F. I see people put it in like E and D. But I think, in my humble opinion, it's a B. Child's Play 3 and the remake are the most underrated movies in the entire franchise. And a lot of people give Child's Play 3 they throw a lot of shade at it because it came out like barely a year after the second movie. Like they kind of rushed production on this movie. But that doesn't really mean it's bad. It's alright. Cult of Chucky. We got another B. We got a B right here. Do I think it's above the... Nah, it's good where it is. Yeah, Cult of Chucky. Actually, I'm going to put the remake above Child's Play 3. I think it's a little bit better than Child's Play 3. Cult of Chucky... it was decent. It was whatever. I kind of want to hold this movie off, but you know what I'm gonna say? Freddy vs. Jason is hold up, it's not responding. Freddy vs. Jason, top of S tier. No questions asked. Top of S tier. I mean, in terms of quality, I wouldn't say it's better than the Evil Dead movies, but it's just on enjoyability alone. It's S tier. Top of S tier. Nightmare on Elm Street 1, also S tier. Actually, do I like it more than Evil Dead 2? Let me kind of think about that. No, I think it's better. Yep, so this is, I think I'm done with S tier. I think that's all the S tier movies. So we got all the S tier. I think A tier is basically complete now. And now I think we've reached like bottom of the barrel. Alright, well, we haven't reached C tier actually yet. So this is Friday the 13th. Oh, this is a new beginning. Yeah, it's C. I give it a C. Like, since it's not actually Jason, I'm gonna give it a C. If this was actually Jason, I would give it like maybe B, you know. Scream 3, also C. Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan is D. D. It has a really cool poster. I do like the poster it has, but like the movie itself is very meh, in my opinion. Halloween 4, also D. But it's not horrible. It's just bad, but like not E or F bad, you know. Scream 4, also D. Elm Street 5. This movie's weirdly gross. Like, I know it's a horror movie, but like, there's a lot in this movie that's just kind of, ugh, what the hell? So for that, I guess a D. And I don't really enjoy it that much, but it's not E or F. There's still things in it that are still somewhat like decent. Halloween 5. Halloween 5, E. E, not that good. I don't really like Halloween 5. Along with Halloween 6. I don't really like that either. H2O, or Halloween 20 years later, or H20, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking about C, but I'm also thinking about D. I think I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna put it above it, Elm Street 5. It's just D. Elm Street 2, the most overrated Elm Street movie ever. E. It's not F, it's E. Elm Street 2 is so overrated. I mean, like, some people would call it underrated, but like, if you know like the reputation this movie has and like the amount of people that praise it online, it's massively overrated. It is not good. I think it is a really bad continuation of the first movie. Like, Elm Street 3 should have been what Elm Street 2 is. Like, Elm Street 2 feels so disconnected from the rest of the franchise. Like, it breaks so many rules from the first movie, and it's just not that good. Like, there's some good effects in there's some decent acting, but like, it's just bad. It's just not really that good. Jason Goes to Hell, that's an E. A lot of people would have this at like the bottom of F. Like, I know a lot of people despise this movie, but I think it's bad, but like, I think it's a little bit better than Elm Street 2 actually, but it's still not that good. The only real things that I like really liked in this movie were like Freddy's glove popping up at the end and pulling his mask underground, and that you can see the Evil Dead Necronomicon in the background in one scene, but like, aside from that, this movie is just not good. Jason X, I'm thinking about putting it in F, but It is my least favorite Friday the 13th movie. Like, I don't like this movie. I think this is the worst Friday the 13th movie. My personal headcanon is that this is not canon to the rest of the series because it kind of ruins Freddy vs. Jason. If this is canon, it kind of ruins Freddy vs. Jason because then it's like Jason has to win. Otherwise, Jason X can't happen. So, like, my personal headcanon is that, like, this movie is so bad that I don't even consider it canon. Elm Street 2, I don't know if I consider that canon. I don't think I do. I actually haven't really thought about whether or not I consider it canon. I'll have to think about that one. Freddy's Dead. Aside from the remake, this is easily the worst Elm Street movie. Not quite F, but it's not good. It's kind of like Friday the 13th Part 3, whereas Friday the 13th Part 3 is actually pretty good. Elm Street, Freddy's Dead, or Elm Street 6, whatever you want to call it, has some of the worst effects and some of the worst kills. And it's not even a horror movie. It's just a comedy. I mean, like Freddy with the power glove, like, that was so stupid. Halloween Resurrection, the worst Halloween movie, and our first F tier. Halloween Resurrection. This movie sucks. I don't like this movie. This is garbage. 1 star. Seed of Chucky, also F. This movie is bad. I do not like this movie. F. This movie is garbage. If you've ever had a conversation with me about the Elm Street franchise, then you know that I absolutely despise this movie. This is the worst horror film of all time. Not only is it not scary, but it's also not creative at all. For a remake, it doesn't do anything new. It's just horrible. It is so bad. This is one of the few movies that I actually give a 0 out of 10 to. This movie and Batman and Robin are the only movies I have ever given a 0 out of 10. It is that bad. I hate this movie. To anybody that says, oh, it's underrated, oh, it's overhated, no, it isn't. It's not underrated. It deserves every single bit of hate that it gets. The only thing in this movie, and I mean the only thing, that is a little bit good was the casting choice of Jackie Earle Haley. But other than that, his performance was just not good. It was just bad. Like, this movie's horrible. I hate it. Bottom of F tier. Like, it's not even a little bit enjoyable. Like, the highest rating I can give this movie is like a 1 or 2 out of 10, and that's on a good day. But other than that, it sucks. But yeah, that is my various horror films tier list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if you want more content like this. Or if you want to, you could tell me how you would rank these movies. I'm interested to see. Oh, okay, never mind. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys might think, like where you guys might rank these movies. So yeah, have a good rest of your day, everybody. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.